Hello dear students, welcome to my new video. In this video I am going to explain the applications of Gauss law. So before going to explain the applications of Gauss law, actually there are three applications of Gauss law here we are going to discuss. Before going to that, I need you to know some of the basic things which are required for learning the applications of Gauss law. Okay, in that the first one is, what is Gaussian surface? What is Gaussian surface? As we have discussed in the last class, Gaussian surface is any surface or any closed imaginary surface considered to apply Gauss law. You know what is Gauss law, right? Phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. So we can apply that Gauss law to this imaginary surface. That imaginary surface is called Gaussian surface. Okay. So then the second thing that you need to know is continuous charge distribution. In that we have three types. One is linear charge distribution. In this, the charge distribution will be in one particular direction. Second one is surface charge distribution. In that the charge distribution will be in two dimension. And the third one is volume charge distribution. In that the charge distribution will be in three dimension. Okay. So first one is linear charge distribution. So what is the linear charge distribution? It is defined as the charge per unit length of the conductor. It is represented by lambda. So lambda is equal to charge per length. From that we can get Q is equal to lambda into L. Q is equal to lambda into L. Secondly, we have surface charge distribution. So it is defined as charge per unit area. It is represented by sigma. So sigma is equal to Q divided by A, and from that I can get, so charge on the surface is equal to sigma into A, that is this. Thirdly, we have volume charge distribution. So it is defined as charge per unit volume. It is represented by rho, and that's why rho is equal to charge per volume. From that we can get charge present in that volume is equal to rho into V. So these are the basic ideas that we need for learning the applications of Gauss law. So here we have the first application of Gauss law, that is electric field due to an infinitely charged wire. Here we will find the expression for electric field by using Gauss law. Okay. So here I am considering a infinitely long charged wire. Actually this length extends to infinity on both sides. So here I am considering a charged wire of length L. So here the linear charge density is lambda. So from that we can get to know the charge on this wire is equal to lambda into L, that we have just studied. Q is equal to lambda into L. Lambda is linear charge density. So from Gauss law we have phi is equal to Q divided by epsilon naught. So that is equal to, what is Q? Q is lambda into L divided by epsilon naught. So let us consider this is equation number 1. We have one more expression for electric flux, that is phi is equal to E dot A. E is electric field and A is the area through which the electric field is passing through. So that is equal to E A cos theta. What is the theta? Theta is the angle between electric field E and area vector A. Okay. Now here electric flux through this Gaussian surface. Actually see, this one is the Gaussian surface. We already know what is Gaussian surface. The Gaussian surface is any closed imaginary surface considered to apply Gauss law. So I will apply Gauss law to this. So if we consider this thin wire, the electric field will be in this particular direction, isn't it? According to the properties of electric field line, it will be perpendicular or normal to the conductor. What about in this direction? There will be no electric field in this particular direction, like this. There will be no electric field in this direction. Electric field direction will be this, like this. Now, second thing, what is the area vector? Here, if I consider a small area, that is dA, its direction will be like this, perpendicular to the surface. So this is the curved surface. Here also, if I consider a small area of this Gaussian cylinder, here the area vector will be perpendicular to this. And here electric field is parallel to A. Electric field is parallel to A. And what about this? Here, if you consider this surface area or this side at the ends of this Gaussian cylinder, area vector will be in this particular direction and electric field is in this direction. So at the end surfaces, electric field is perpendicular to area vector. So this total electric flux through this Gaussian surface can be divided into two parts, that is phi 1 plus phi 2. Okay. So phi 1 is the flux through this curved surface. Phi 1 is the flux through this curved surface, and phi 2 is the total flux through these end surfaces of this Gaussian cylindrical surface. So let us find out the phi 1 first. So here total phi is equal to phi 1 is E A cos. So here phi 1 is the flux through this curved surface. Here E is parallel to A means theta will be 0, plus phi 2 is E A cos. There the electric field is making an angle 90 degree with area vector. Electric field is making 90 degree with area vector, so this will be 90 degree. So we know phi is equal to E A cos 0 is 1, and here E A into cos 90 is 0, so you will get 0 here. Okay, so phi is equal to E A. So that is equal to E is the electric field into A is what? A is the area of this curved surface. This A is the area of the end surface, but this A is the area of this curved surface, because this one is correspond to this phi 1 and this one is correspond to phi 2. So area of the curved surface is given by 2 pi r its length L, 2 pi r L. So this is equation number 2. So we got two different equations for phi. One is this equation number 2 from Gauss law. This is from Gauss law, and this one is from electric flux equation. So from 1 and 2, we will get E into 2 pi r L. I will write first, then this one lambda L divided by epsilon naught. So here L will cancel out, you will get E is equal to lambda divided by 2 pi r epsilon naught, or in vector form we can write like this: E is equal to lambda divided by 2 pi r epsilon naught into n cap, where n cap is the unit vector. So this is equation number 2. So we got two different equations for phi. One is this equation number 2 from Gauss law. This is from Gauss law. And this one is from electric flux equation. So from 1 and 2, we will get E into 2 pi r L. I will write first, then this one lambda L divided by epsilon naught. Or in vector form we can write like this: E is equal to lambda divided by 2 pi r epsilon naught into n cap, where n cap is the unit vector. So here R is the radius of this cylinder. So that is where we are finding the electric field. Okay. So n cap is the unit vector, pi is 3.142, lambda is linear charge density, epsilon is a constant, its value is equal to 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12 in SI units. Okay, so this is all about this. I hope it is clear to you all. Okay, we have the second application of Gauss law here, that by using Gauss law we can find the electric field due to a uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. So here I have constrained the sides of this plane sheet to this much only, but actually it extends till infinity. So here also I can find out the electric field by using Gauss law for this distribution of charge in this plane sheet. So for that, what we have to do? We have to consider the Gaussian surface. Okay, so what I will do, I will consider a spherical area here. So I will draw a cylindrical Gaussian surface for that, like this on both sides. On both sides I will draw this Gaussian surface. So this is the Gaussian surface. Obviously we know the charge on this is Q, that is found or that is represented by the surface charge density. Okay, that we have studied here. Surface charge density is nothing but charge per unit area. Okay, so from this we can get Q is equal to sigma into A. Okay, and now we also know that electric field lines will be perpendicular to this area vector, and also we know that the area vector will be perpendicular to this area, like this. If I consider this is a small area dA, area vector is perpendicular to this plane. If I consider this is the plane, area vector will be perpendicular to that plane. So here also same thing happens, and electric field lines are also in the same direction on right side, and left side the area vector will be in this particular direction, that is minus x direction if you consider, and electric field line is also in the same direction. So for this surface the electric field is parallel to A. Electric field is parallel to A, so the angle between E and A is 0 or 0 degree. Okay, so now I need to find out the electric field at this particular point. Okay, P, which is at a distance R from this surface. So electric field here will be radially outwards because I have considered the positive charges on this plane sheet. So then according to Gauss law, phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So then what is Q? Q is sigma into A divided by epsilon naught as it is. Let us consider this is equation number 1, and from the equation of electric flux, that is phi is equal to E dot A, we will get E A cos theta. Okay, actually electric flux in this particular direction is considered 0 because the area vector is perpendicular to electric field. So we will get theta as 90 degree, cos 90 is 0, so we will get electric flux in this particular direction is 0, downwards also, and this direction also, this direction also. So I will consider the electric flux only in one direction. Let us consider that is x axis. So here electric flux is same in both the direction, that is positive x direction as well as negative x direction. So electric flux will be, the magnitude of electric flux will be added here, total electric flux will be added here. So flux through this surface as well as flux through this surface, so we'll get 2 times of that. So total electric flux will be, flux through this one will be EA cos theta plus the same magnitude will be there in this particular direction also, that is given by EA cos theta. So that is equal to 2 times EA cos theta. And what is the value of theta here? Here E is parallel to A, so theta is equal to 0. So I will get 2 EA cos 0. I can directly write that is 1. So we will get flux, total flux is equal to 2 EA. So let us consider this is equation 2 from electric flux equation. So we got 2 different equations for results for phi. So from 1 and 2, from 1 and 2 we'll get 2 EA is equal to sigma A divided by epsilon naught. So here A will cancel out, so we'll be having E is equal to sigma divided by 2 epsilon naught, sigma divided by 2 epsilon naught, or in vector form it is given by sigma divided by 2 epsilon naught into unit vector. Okay, so this is all about this. Thank you. So we have the third application of Gauss law. So here we are considering a uniformly charged thin spherical shell. Okay, so I need to find out the electric field at this particular point P, which is located at a distance r, small r, from the center of this. Okay, so this is a shell which is uniformly charged. So charge on the surface of the shell is given by Q is equal to sigma into A, as we have considered in the last class. So what is this? This is Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface. That is Gaussian surface. So the charge on this spherical shell is Q. Then at this particular point, which is at a distance r from the center, let's consider this is O, is easily given by E is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square. How did I get this? See, from Gauss law we know phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught, right? So that is equal to E into area. E into area. So that is equal to E into area is how much? 4 pi r square, area of this spherical shell, surface area of. So we will get phi is equal to E into 4 pi r square, and that is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Same thing I am writing again. So E is equal to what? E is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught, will 4 pi r square will go down. So we will get Q by 4 pi r square into epsilon naught. This is in one way. In terms of charge density, surface charge density, it is given by, we have this one, let's consider this again, E into 4 pi r square, that is equal to Q is what? Let me write that again. Q is equal to sigma into A. Q is equal to sigma into A. Just substitute that there. divided by epsilon naught as it is. So this area will cancel out here. So you will get E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. That is in terms of charge density. Okay. So here we can find the electric field at 3 different points. One is here, at which we have considered the Gaussian surface. Okay, then we can consider the electric field on the surface of the shell also, and electric field inside it. So let's consider it is outside that. Outside the spherical shell, electric field is this much only, 1 by 4 pi epsilon q by r square, or E is equal to q by epsilon naught. Two ways are there. On the surface of this what is this spherical shell, so let's consider the radius of that is given by r, capital R, radius of this spherical shell. So there, for that it is given by, on the surface of spherical shell, E is equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught q divided by the distance varies. This small r will become capital R because this distance will be reduced. So you will get r square, because since small r is equal to capital R. Okay. Then last thing, if I consider the point here, the electric field here will be equal to 0, because electric field inside the spherical shell, electric field E will be 0, because charge inside the spherical shell is 0. So if you consider the Gaussian surface for this, it will be like this. So charge inside this Gaussian surface will be 0. So according to Gauss law, we should not consider the charge outside this Gaussian surface. We have to consider the charge inside, charge enclosed, right? Phi is equal to charge enclosed divided by epsilon naught. That is the definition of Gauss law, right? So charge enclosed by Gauss law is equal to 0. So that's why flux is also 0. So flux phi is equal to 0. So that's why phi E is also 0. Okay. So this is all about this video. We'll meet you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.